Well, welcome back to Kentucky Helicycle. Fred Rogers. I've been gone for a while, but I've been working on my helicycle and getting it built, and I've got a lot of it done that I'd like to share with you. Today in this video, I'd like to showcase the installation of the engine and how I did that. Obviously, that's a major component of this. There's a lot of other videos to follow this one that I'm going to work on and get them out there, kind of stack them in behind this one. And then ultimately I'd like to do a kind of a reveal video that shows the helicopter kind of where it is now. It's not completed, but it's very, very close. My sense is that I'll have this thing taken as far as I can take it by probably late summer, early fall, where after that the factory guys will come out and do the final and get it running and the blades balanced and all that good stuff so that I can start flying it. Having said that though, let's get going on this video, which is gonna again show you my engine, and I hope you enjoy it, and tune back in. I'll keep posting these things and try not to be gone so long. So thank you. Okay, starting with the engine as I received it in shipping, it came to me kind of mounted on this hydraulic lift stand, which was pretty convenient for just rolling it around my shop. It didn't necessarily fit within the scope of how I wanted to install the engine. But at this stage, I wanted to make sure that I had the engine very stable in terms of the lift points and things like that to get this thing lifted up off of this stand such that I could put a new stand under it, one that I wanted to use, which I'll show you here in a second. So first order of business was just get this thing off the stand that it was on and make sure it was really secure and go from there. I purchased a kind of affordable, small transmission lift stand from Harbor Freight. The advantages of this stand over the one that I had that it came with is these casters right here allow you to have way more flexibility and movement, so that you can go, front, back, side, spin it, turn it, whatever. That's a real important thing. It gave me more mobility to be able to handle this thing once I was getting it in place. And it just has a kind of a screw type jack mechanism, and this is a scissor jack that just lifts up using a 1/2-inch drive ratchet. And to get this going, I just made basically a wooden mold, or whatever you'd want to call this thing, to fit to the lift points of the engine so that I could center the engine on this and know that I have it in a really good balance point, and know that once I did have it in that position, I could just easily move it, get it in position, and lift it up for installation. So here you can see kind of how that worked out. Once I got it lined up on the lift points, I came back in and put in some additional side-to-side supports that keeps this thing from teetering. It was still a little bit, had a little bit of flexibility to move up here, which was okay because I kind of needed that. And then a little bit overkill with the straps, but I just wanted to make sure that when I got this thing off of the lift hoist that I had it on, that it was stable, and that once I started rolling it and moving it, I didn't need to risk it kind of teetering or falling off this stand in any way. So this actually lined up really good, and in the future, if I need to remove this engine, I can reverse this process and know that it's very stable and I don't really have any issues with it. Once I had the engine on the stand, I could turn my attention then back to the transmission and belt and this sort of underbelly area where the engine mounts. So in so doing, I had to remove the drive shaft that I had in there and take it to the side and just get these belts draped over here and in place so that I could then have room to get my pulley in down here. I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of locks in back down here on this bottom side of the clutch arm. And these belts, as I note here, there's 6 belts on this system. Very durable, very good belts. They're made specifically for the Helicycle. And I want to say that they're made of Kevlar. If that's not true, someone can correct me. And I believe you can probably get 300 to 400 hours out of these belts if you really wanted to. But my guess is you're going to replace them before that. So, but that's okay. They're really good belts, and glad to have them. So I got this all prepped out, ready to go to receive this engine as I install it here. From there, it was really a matter of just eyeballing and getting the engine in under that section where it goes in here. There's plenty enough room between the airframe longerons here that this will go right up. So what I was trying to do was just kind of eyeball these 2 pulleys here to get them sort of as close to being in line as I could while respecting that there's a pilot bearing here. So you're really kind of working in this area to get this in line with this pulley here. Meanwhile, you can kind of see how this stand really offered me the convenience of getting this thing where I wanted it. I think it turned out to be a worthwhile venture to have this small stand here like this. So that led me to the next step then. This step involved the actual lifting of the engine and getting it up into the plane that I'm working in here, and allowed me then to have a little bit more reference here to this vertical plane that you're trying to get to match up here. Meanwhile, I also have the engine mounts sort of tentatively in place here, so that I can go ahead. Once this does get up, you're going to kind of get things fixed here, work your way back to the engine mounts to stabilize it on the airframe. So this process and step here really was a little bit more tedious in that you're trying to get yourself lined up with everything and work on that. One area of difficulty in this process was getting the pilot bearing and the clutch arm mechanism, all of this sort of really, lined up very precisely. I had to work with this a lot, which made me more glad that I had this stand, because I kept having to sort of wiggle this thing back and forth, and I came back a few times just to sort of realign it and so on and so on. It wasn't hard, it was just a bit tedious to get it all to line up and get that bearing to mount up precisely with that the clutch arm and the front side of the lower pulley or the engine pulley. But I did get it. As you're working with this and trying to get it lined up, to get more specific, what you're really doing is trying to get the pulley, the lower pulley and the upper pulley in the same vertical plane. And in so doing, they have to be level. You have to work with that. You have to work with the engine itself being in a level position. And that part, like I say, you can move it one way and it would get back out of level. But it wasn't really that difficult. But you can see here, I did achieve my level markings, and ultimately got this to the point where I was in the proper vertical plane, and was able to make these things line up. So again, the pulleys must be level and aligned in the vertical plane in this step. And I think I nailed it. to verify whether or not you have this in the proper place and plane, you really do, from kind of the outset, you get one of your belts in place. You can see on this side of the pulley and on this side of the lower pulley. But what you're doing to check it is you've got a straight bar here that you lay flush up against the back of this pulley. Now on the transmission side, it'll drop right in there. On the engine side, you're using this upper portion as the reference to the lower portion, and you're having to, of course, move this in and out a bit just to get this to touch. So eventually what happens is this flat full touch here lines up, and you have the same contact here, and you can know, wow, okay, I've got this thing set in that plane that I need to get it set in, and that's the way you know that you have it right. Once all of that was set, then I was able to sort of get down here and start tightening up the bolt with the clutch arm and the lower pulley, and tighten all of that up in place, so that I'm there on this side. I don't have to do anything. That allows me then to move back to the engine mounts that are on the airframe, and that's going to kind of give you that 3-point hitch, so to speak, where you're going to lock it in on the front side and ultimately on both sides of the airframe. And once you get there, now you're really doing something. So you can see my little stand's holding out good, everything's moving along, and I'm getting it good and tight in there, and ready to move to the next step. The left side engine mount, as shown here, in effect has a connecting rod that connects it to this lug on the engine here, and it's adjustable up and down, and gives you the ability to sort of, if the engine has a weird tilt or something, or if you need to tilt the engine in a little bit to compensate for something, whatever it is. It's a very flexible joint, but it also allows the engine to move. You can see the way these connecting rods are, the engine can move a little bit in operation. It's not so rigid, and that's a good thing. So I got this one in place, went over to the right side, and you can see it is a much more substantial mount with less flexibility, and it has a hinge point right here that is a bearing that you tighten this thing down onto, and there is some lift capacity, adjustment capacity on this one, so you can get the engine up and down using, you can't see it very well, but there's a device here that allows you to kind of raise this up or lower it to get a more precise fit on this side of the airframe. But these things together really provide a finishing touch, because the Helicycle engine engages the belts by tilting the engine either up or down. So the engine hinges on both sides of these mounts, which is what you want. So the last step in this process was the engine mounts themselves need to be level. So you can come back, get them in a level position, and go ahead and tighten them down and lock them in. So that's what I did here, and over on the other side you can see that bubble there. But anyway, you come back in, got my ratchet on there, and tighten these guys up and get them good and level, and check what you've got there. So mine snapped right in. The end result is this. I was able to get it all situated, everything put in, everything lined up here, back this way, side to side. Once I knew I had it, I was able to disconnect my engine stand, lift stand, and this guy is sitting in there as good as I can get it for now. But once it's in, it's a little easier. If you need to come back and adjust something, I don't think you really have to wrestle with it too much. And I think really I've got probably it's in there in the proper positioning. And since this picture here, I have all of the belts now in their proper orientation, and I have the tension pulley installed, as well as the clutch motor and clutch arm. Everything's all hooked up. So at some point I'll do a systems video that shows you how all of this works, and you'll come back and be able to see how that clutch works and how it engages with the engine. So this is it, and you can kind of get a sense of where I am on some of these other things with the Helicycle, especially the electrical. But I'm going to do some videos on all this, so I should have it ready to go for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can see this engine is not the most difficult thing to install. There is, of course, a lot of steps that you have to just pay close attention to, and get your adjustments right. Take your time, and it'll fall into place. And don't try to shortcut anything. That's key. Get it right. If it's not right, keep working till you get it right. So anyway, I think mine's there. If I need to go back and make some adjustments, I can. It's not now that it's in, it's a little easier to mess with. So I already had now, and I'll show you a video of this probably in the coming days. I have the belts all synchronized back to the clutch mechanism and the clutch motor, as well as sitting in the cab. I can flip a switch and engage the clutch, and all of those belts will tighten up. So I'll go over that in another video so you can kind of see how that looks as well. But anyway, thanks for watching. I sure hope you're living right and doing the right things. Love your family. Get out there and just make a difference in what you do. So we appreciate it. The world will be a better place. Take care.